The story begins in the quiet mountains, where a strange boy named Karag lives with his family. Karag is not an ordinary boy because he has the power to change into an animal. Most of the time, he lives in the form of a puma. He can also turn into a human, but his family does not like him doing that very often. There is one very important rule in Karag's life. He must never go near humans. His family believes that humans are dangerous, so they stay hidden far away in the mountains. But as Karag grows older, he becomes more curious about the outside world. He starts wondering what humans are really like and why his family is so afraid of them. One day, Karag finally breaks the rule. He leaves his family behind and enters the human world. Soon after that, a kind human couple finds him. They believe he is only a lost and frightened boy. They feel sorry for him and decide to adopt him. Karag now has a new human family, a comfortable home, and even new siblings. At first, everything seems normal. One morning, while having breakfast with his new family, Karag watches the news on TV. The news reports several strange animal attacks. Different animals have suddenly started behaving in unusual ways, and mysterious accidents involving animals are happening in different places. No one understands what is causing all of this, but after hearing the news, Karag starts feeling uncomfortable because something about these incidents seems familiar to him. Later that day, Karag gets ready to go to his new school. He says goodbye to his adoptive father and his siblings. Then he gets into the car with his adoptive mother, Anna. His sister Melody suddenly decides to join them because she also wants to go along for the drive. While they are traveling, Karag notices something strange in the sky. Two black crows are flying above their car. They keep following the car and do not fly away. Karag continues watching them carefully. He starts thinking that maybe these crows are not normal animals. He wonders if they could also be shapeshifters like him. As night arrives, the family stops at a small hotel to rest. Karag hopes that the strange feeling will disappear, but instead, things become even more suspicious. Late that night, a strange sound wakes him up. Karag slowly walks toward the window and looks outside. What he sees completely shocks him. A pack of wolves is running quickly through the street before disappearing into a dark alley. At the same time, all the lights inside the building across the road suddenly go out. Karag immediately becomes nervous because he knows that something is not right. The next morning, the family continues their journey. After driving for several hours, they finally arrive at Clearwater High School. The moment Karag gets out of the car, he suddenly freezes. The same two crows that had been following them during the entire journey are now standing in front of the school, but they are no longer birds. They have turned into students. At that moment, Karag realizes that his suspicion was correct. Before he can properly react, the school principal, Lisa, walks toward them with a friendly smile. She welcomes Karag to the school and then looks at Anna with curiosity. Lisa asks Anna how she found Karag. Anna then explains the whole story. She says that no one ever learned anything about Karag's real parents. Years earlier, when Anna was working as a social worker, she received a call about a child who was in danger. When she arrived, she found Karag terrified and shaking. Anna could not leave the frightened boy alone, so she brought him home with her. Later, she convinced her husband that they should adopt Karag and raise him as part of their own family. As Karag grew older, he always felt different while living in the city. When the time came for him to start middle school, Anna received a letter inviting Karag to Clearwater High School. She believed this school could help him fit in better and finally make some friends. After hearing Anna's story, Lisa smiles and nods. Then she asks if she can speak with Karag alone. Once they move away from the others, Lisa finally tells him the truth about the school. She explains that everyone studying here is a shapeshifter. This means Karag no longer has to hide who he really is. For the first time in his life, Karag feels that he has finally found a place where he belongs. But before he can fully understand everything, the school alarm suddenly starts ringing. Lisa quickly rushes outside to see what is happening. There, she notices something that immediately makes her angry. Anna and Melody are calmly walking through a restricted part of the school. Lisa does not want humans entering that area, so she quickly tells her assistant to take them out of the campus. Meanwhile, Karag is completely amazed by everything around him. This is the first time he has seen so many shapeshifters gathered in one place. While walking through the school halls, Karag suddenly comes across Jeffrey and his group. The mood quickly becomes tense. Karag and Jeffrey stare at each other, and it looks like a fight could start at any moment. But before anything happens, James arrives and stops them. A short while later, the school holds an official welcome ceremony for the new students. When the ceremony ends, Anna hugs Karag and says goodbye to him. She and Melody then head back toward their car. At the same time, a man named Andrew arrives at the school. Andrew is very rich and powerful, and he is also the man who provides money to keep the entire school running. Karag meets Andrew soon after this. During their conversation, Karag tells him something very personal. He explains that he left the mountains because he felt there had to be more to his life than simply living as a puma. He knew that if he stayed in the mountains forever, he might never discover who he truly was. Later, Karag reaches his dorm room. Lisa explains some basic rules of the school to him and then leaves. Soon after, a squirrel suddenly appears at his window. Carag lets it come inside, but he quickly realizes that this is not an ordinary squirrel. It is actually Holly, another shapeshifter. Holly has been chosen to guide Carag and help him during his first transformation class. When the class begins, the teacher gives everyone a serious warning. The students are only allowed to use their powers during lessons. More importantly, they must never allow any human to see them transforming. After explaining the rules, the teacher chooses Carag to show his power in front of the class. But just before Carag can transform, Brandon steps forward. Brandon is a bison shapeshifter. He changes into his animal form, but he has trouble controlling himself and cannot stay calm for long. He quickly loses control and creates chaos inside the classroom. After seeing this, Carag begins to doubt himself. He feels disconnected from his animal side and decides that he does not want to transform. Lisa then helps him focus on his old memories. Carag slowly remembers his life in the mountains. He sees himself running freely through the forest with his real family. These memories affect him deeply and bring back the connection he once had with his animal side. Something inside him finally wakes up, and Carag successfully transforms into his PUMA form. Right after this, Lisa tells everyone else in the room to transform as well. Carag watches in surprise as the students change into their animal forms. That is when he discovers that most of the students in the school are wolves. Lisa then explains why Carag has been brought here. At Clearwater High School, he will learn how to control both sides of himself. He will learn how to live as a human while also accepting the animal that is part of who he truly is. Lisa explains that one day Carag could even become a link between the human world and the animal world. Later that evening, Carag lies in his room and tries to understand everything that has happened since he arrived at the school. Just then, Brandon suddenly enters the room and casually tells Carag that he is going to be his new roommate. A little while later, Holly knocks on their door and tells them that it is time for dinner. When they reach the cafeteria, Carag meets a boy named Dorian who can transform into a cat. Dorian then tells Carag about his past. Before coming to this school, he lived with a human family as their pet cat. Everything was going well until one day they caught him using his human hands to open a can of sardines. After Carag showed everyone his PUMA form during class, many students started respecting him. However, some of them also became afraid of him. The weaker students feel nervous even when Carag is simply standing near them. One of these students is a small boy who can transform into a tiny horse. He tries his best to stay out of trouble, but unfortunately, he soon runs into Jeffrey and his wolf pack. The situation becomes dangerous very quickly. Carag sees what is happening and immediately steps forward to protect the smaller boy, but this only makes Jeffrey and his group even angrier. The wolves try to scare Carag, and it looks like another fight is about to begin. Luckily, James arrives at the right moment and stops everyone before things get worse. That night, Carag falls asleep and dreams about his real family, but in the middle of the night, a loud crash suddenly wakes him up. Carag looks around and discovers that Brandon has transformed while sleeping and completely destroyed his own bed. Brandon does not seem worried at all. He simply laughs and says that this usually happens once or twice every week. After hearing this, Carag realizes that living with Brandon is not going to be very peaceful. The next day, the students attend combat class. Brandon and Borda are chosen to fight each other first, but Brandon refuses. He tells the teacher that he is a pacifist and does not believe in fighting, so he simply walks away. The teacher then chooses Carag to take his place. Carag is still not fully confident about using his animal side. Andrew notices his hesitation and comes forward with a small pouch. Inside the pouch is PUMA urine. The moment Carag smells it, his animal instincts suddenly become much stronger. He transforms into his PUMA form almost instantly. Borda is much bigger than Carag, but Carag is much faster. He moves quickly, attacks with more force, and refuses to give up. After a tough fight, Carag finally defeats Borda. Next, it is Dorian's turn to fight. However, the terrible smell coming from his opponent is too much for him. Dorian quickly runs away and gives up the fight. After class ends, Andrew approaches Carag because he is impressed by what he has seen. He tells Carag that he wants to become his mentor and help him develop his abilities. To show that he truly believes in him, Andrew even gives Carag the pouch of PUMA urine. He tells Carag that he has a bright future ahead of him. But someone else is watching all of this from a distance. Jeffrey sees Andrew giving special attention to the new student, and he becomes extremely jealous. Because of this, Jeffrey challenges Carag to a duel. He promises that if Carag can defeat the wolves, then they will stop bothering him forever. Later that afternoon, Carag meets Holly and Brandon in the treehouse and tells them about Jeffrey's challenge. Brandon becomes worried and warns Carag that fighting outside class could get him expelled from the school. But Carag has already had enough of Jeffrey's insults and threats. He refuses to back down this time. Holly tells Carag that she will support him no matter what happens. Brandon is still nervous about the whole idea, but even he admits that he would enjoy seeing the wolves finally get what they deserve. That night, the three of them secretly leave the dorms. Before going to the meeting place, Carag smells the pouch again to wake up his animal instincts, and then he transforms into his puma form. When they finally reach the place where the duel is supposed to happen, Carag asks which wolf he will be fighting. That is when he discovers that Jeffrey has lied to him. This was never going to be a fair duel. Jeffrey has brought his entire wolf pack with him. Even after realizing it is a trap, Carag refuses to run away. He knows that he is stronger than any one of them in a one-on-one fight, but the wolves do not fight fairly. They attack Carag together, jumping on him from behind and surrounding him from every side. Seeing Carag surrounded by the wolves, Holly realizes he cannot handle all of them alone, so she pushes Brandon off the cliff, forcing him to jump down and help Carag. Brandon quickly joins the fight and keeps some of the wolves busy. This gives Carag a chance to fight back properly. He attacks with all his strength and refuses to give up. In the end, Jeffrey and his pack realize they cannot win, so they finally retreat. Jeffrey is forced to accept defeat. The next morning, James notices that several students are badly injured. He immediately sends them to the infirmary. The students try to make excuses, but their stories are not convincing at all. It is clear that they were involved in a fight during the night. Carag thinks the principal is about to call him in and punish him, but before that can happen, Andrew suddenly asks him to come along for a drive. During the ride, Carag soon realizes that Andrew already knows everything about the fight. Andrew tells him that a real puma should not have needed help against 4 wolves. He explains that Carag left his real family at a very young age, so he never learned the skills a puma normally learns in the wild. Most importantly, he never learned how to hunt properly. Because of this, Andrew decides that he will teach him himself. He wants Carag to become a real predator and fully understand his animal side. When they return to school, Lisa is already waiting for them. She is angry and tells Andrew to stop giving Carag special treatment. Then she warns Carag as well. If he wants to remain at the school, he must obey the rules. She makes it clear that he cannot fight outside class again. A little later, Holly and Brandon rush over to see if Carag is okay. While talking to them, Carag notices Lou walking alone toward the forest. Curious, he decides to follow her. Together, they secretly listen to some teachers talking about the recent animal attacks. The teachers believe that shapeshifters are responsible. They are worried that if humans ever discover the truth, the peace between humans and shapeshifters could end completely. Because of this, Lisa and the school council need to stop the attacks before the situation becomes worse. On the way back, Carag tells his friends something important. During his earlier road trip, he saw wolves attacking humans in a nearby town. He is now convinced that Jeffrey and his pack were involved. The next day, Andrew keeps his promise and takes Carag deep into the forest. He begins teaching him how to hunt. Andrew explains that Carag must first choose his prey. Then he needs to watch it carefully and wait for the perfect moment to attack. Carag follows his instructions and successfully catches a deer. After that, the two of them share the meal together. While returning to school, Andrew tells Carag something personal about his own life. He says that he once had a daughter. If she were still alive, she would now be around Carag's age. Later, during recess, Lou notices that Carag is not eating anything. When she asks him why, Carag tells her that he already hunted and ate earlier that morning. As soon as Lou hears this, her mood changes. She becomes quiet and walks away. Her reaction comes from a painful memory. Years ago, a puma attacked her mother and left her badly injured. Carag realizes that his words have hurt her. Feeling guilty, he follows Lou into the forest because he wants to explain himself and make things right. But Lou moves too quickly, and Carag cannot catch up with her. That night, Carag suddenly hears wolves howling outside his window. He looks outside and realizes it is Jeffrey's pack. Feeling suspicious, Carag secretly follows them all the way to the nearest town. There, he sees the wolves frighten away a guard before sneaking inside a factory. Carag is about to confront them, but the wolves quickly turn against him. Just before another fight can begin, Andrew suddenly appears. He stops everyone, orders the wolves to get into his car, and drives them back to the school. After they return, Andrew asks Carag to stay behind because he wants to speak with him alone. That is when Andrew finally reveals the truth. He admits that he is actually the person behind the recent animal attacks. Carag is shocked by what he hears. He feels deeply betrayed because he had started trusting Andrew and looking up to him. Now he begins to question whether Andrew ever deserved that trust. Andrew then tells Carag about his painful past. Many years ago, a hunter killed Andrew's wife and young daughter in the forest. Since that day, Andrew has carried a deep hatred toward humans. He believes that humans have taken control of nature, destroyed animal habitats, and caused many species to disappear forever. Andrew explains that for the last 50 years, the school council has tried to convince humans to protect nature and change their behavior. But according to him, nothing worked. In fact, the situation only became worse. Because of this, Andrew finally decided that he could no longer wait for humans to change, so he chose to take matters into his own hands. Later, while they are having dinner, a woman comes over to serve serve the food. Carag notices that she has a mechanical leg. Andrew explains that she is actually a snake shapeshifter. One day, while she was in her animal form, a car hit her and she lost her leg. After telling him this, Andrew asks Carag to become part of his plan, but Carag refuses. He tells Andrew that he does not want anyone to get hurt because of him. Andrew then explains that he is not trying to kill humans. His real goal is to destroy their machines and delay the projects that are ruining animal homes. Carag still does not fully agree with him, but he says he will think about it. For now, he also agrees to keep Andrew's secret. The next morning, Carag is in the forest helping Brandon practice. Brandon runs around in his bison form and crashes through several trees. But suddenly, he gets hit by a car. Carag quickly realizes that the car belongs to his adoptive parents who have come to visit him. Carag panics because they cannot find out what Brandon really is. So he quickly takes them inside and tries to hide what just happened. When they reach his room, Anna notices a squirrel searching through Carag's things. Soon after, Lisa arrives and becomes angry. She reminds Anna that visitors must follow the school's strict rules. Before leaving, Anna tells Carag that she will be staying in a nearby town for the weekend. She asks him to spend some time with her there and Carag happily agrees. Later, Andrew calls Carag and invites him to join a special event that same weekend. Carag refuses. He clearly tells Andrew that he still does not support hurting humans. Andrew does not argue with him and simply ends the call. Carag starts feeling uneasy after this, so he goes into the forest to clear his mind and practice his transformations. He stays there for several hours. Later, Wing finds him and looks worried. Suddenly, they notice a drone flying above them. Wing immediately recognizes it as a hunter's drone. He also realizes that tracking dogs have already been released into the forest. Carag quickly runs away and hides high in the trees, but the drone keeps following him. To save Carag, Wing attacks and destroys the drone. He then tells Carag to keep running and not look back. After escaping for a long time, Carag finally becomes too tired and collapses. A short while later, Shadow, one of the crow girls, finds him. She throws him some clothes so he can return to his human form. With help from his friends, Carag slowly makes his way back toward the school, but just before he can reach the campus, he faints. Andrew finds him there and takes him back to his house so he can rest. When Carag wakes up, he tells Andrew everything about the hunter and the drone. Then a frightening thought comes into his mind. He starts wondering if the same kind of hunter who killed Andrew's family could also have harmed his real family. This fear changes Carag's mind completely. He now decides to support Andrew and join his plan. Before their first mission begins, Andrew gives Carag another surprising piece of news. He says he has already sent shapeshifters to search for Carag's real family. If they are still alive, Andrew promises that they will find them. Soon after this, Carag receives a call from Anna. She tells him that their weekend trip has been cancelled because she has an important appointment. Around the same time, Brandon and Holly come to see Carag because they are worried about him. They try to talk to him, but Carag has already started becoming distant from them. Soon after, Carag leaves with Andrew and the others and heads toward a mine. When they arrive, Andrew divides everyone into different groups. Carag is given the job of scaring all the forest animals away from the area so they will be safe. Meanwhile, Jeffrey and his wolf pack are told to force the workers out of the mine so that no humans will be hurt during the mission. At first, Carag starts doing his part by chasing a few rabbits away from the area, but then he suddenly notices something that scares him badly. His adoptive parents are camping nearby. Carag immediately calls Andrew and tells him about it. Andrew stays calm and says he already saw them far away in the valley. He promises Carag that they are safe and have nothing to worry about. Even after hearing this, Carag still feels that something is wrong. Meanwhile, Jeffrey and the other wolves scare the workers so badly that the men quickly escape in a truck. As soon as the area is clear, Derek climbs into another vehicle and prepares to release the logs that have been stacked there. Carag realizes how dangerous this could be and begs him to stop. If those logs roll down the mountain, his family could be killed. At that moment, Brandon and Holly arrive to stand beside Carag. This makes the situation even more tense. Soon after, Shadow and Wing appear in the sky above them. When the wolves see the crow girls, they begin to panic. They know that if their actions are reported to the school, they could be punished or even expelled. Because of this, Jeffrey and his pack decide to abandon the mission and run away. Now Lou steps forward and tries to talk some sense into Derek. She tells him that destroying everything will only make the humans fight back even harder, but Derek refuses to listen. Instead, he pushes Lou aside. This makes the crow girls furious and they immediately attack him. Derek becomes angry and transforms into a huge grizzly bear. Brandon jumps into the fight to protect his friends, and Holly also joins him. Carag transforms into his PUMA form and attacks Derek as well. After struggling with him, Carag manages to throw Derek out of the truck. Just then, Andrew arrives at the scene. But instead of stopping the plan, he removes the logs that are blocking the truck's wheels. The truck slowly begins to move. Carag suddenly realizes that Andrew is actually allowing the logs to fall. He feels completely betrayed. Andrew then attacks Carag and the two begin fighting each other. But during the fight, Carag sees the logs rolling over the edge of the cliff. They are heading straight toward the valley where his family is camping. Carag immediately forgets about Andrew and runs toward them as fast as he can. can. The huge logs crash down the mountain with great force. Anna sees the danger and screams for everyone to get out of the way, but Melody cannot hear her because she is wearing headphones. By the time Melody finally notices the logs coming toward her, it is already almost too late. She screams in fear. At the very last second, Carag reaches her in his PUMA form and pushes her out of the path of the falling logs. Anna quickly runs to Melody and starts crying with relief when she sees that her daughter is alive. Melody is still shaking and tells her parents that a puma saved her life. Her father does not believe her and says she must have imagined it. A short while later, Lou and the others find Carag lying unconscious in the forest. For a moment, they become terrified because they think he might be dead. But then Carag slowly opens his eyes and everyone feels relieved. As soon as he is able to move again, Carag rushes back to make sure his family is safe. That is when Andrew suddenly appears and acts as if he has only just arrived to help. He quickly calls for a helicopter so Carag's family can be taken to the hospital. Luckily, all of them survive. Once Carag knows that his parents and Melody are safe, he can no longer control his anger. He tells Andrew that he is going to reveal everything to Lisa and explain that Andrew is the real person behind the attacks. But Andrew immediately gives him a powerful reason to stay quiet. He tells Carag that his people have found Carag's real family in the Yellowstone Mountains. Andrew says he will only tell Carag their exact location if he keeps his mouth shut. Just then, Lisa arrives at the scene. Andrew quickly puts all the blame on Derek and claims that Derek planned the entire attack. Lisa does not fully believe his story, but police sirens can already be heard getting closer, so she decides to leave for the moment and promises that there will be a full investigation. When Carag and his friends return to the school, the other students welcome them like heroes. News of what they did has already spread across the campus. Everyone is celebrating them, but Carag cannot enjoy the moment. Behind all the cheers, he knows the truth about Andrew, and he also knows that this fight is far from over. And with that, this story ends here. If you liked the movie recap, then like the video and don't forget to express your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to our channel to see more such amazing movie recaps. Thanks for watching.